And Democrats apparently feel the need to rebrand the tax and spend law as a key to energy independence. While Americans are still facing painful gas prices, that new framing is part of a Democratic ad campaign. Look.
Boosting energy independence, over 9.5 million new jobs. Democrats delivering for America's families.
Marc Thiessen is a Fox News contributor and former White House speechwriter. He is also a columnist for the Washington Post. Marc, it's always great to see you. I mean, who knew? They should rebrand this as the secret remedy for all that ails the Democratic Party. I mean, two of the big things, right? You've got inflation and you've got energy. That's a big problem for the party. Well, now this suddenly, it limits inflation. It brings it down and it increases energy independence. Next week, they're going to call it the crime bill because it's going to get rid of crime as well. I mean, it does a lot of things.
Yeah, no, they're being called out on their false advertising, no doubt. I mean, they called it the Inflation Reduction Act. The Penn-Wharton model, the nonpartisan Penn-Wharton model, found that it would have as the effect on inflation would be close to statistically no different than zero. And now we found out that it's not going to reduce climate change either. So Wall Street Journal is reporting this morning that Bjorn Lomborg, the climate expert, took the CO2 numbers from the bill and plugged them into the UN climate model. And you know what he found? By the end of this century, the bill will reduce global temperatures by 0.009 degrees Fahrenheit to 0.028 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of the century. So not only will it not reduce inflation, it's not going to reduce global temperatures. And now we're not going to live, Trace, you and I, unfortunately, to the end of the century to see its failure. But we will, most of us, live to see the failure to reduce inflation, and we will live to see the deployment of 87,000 IRS agents to harass American people. So they're going to get called out on their false advertising because people will see with their own eyes what the bill really does.
Listen, speak for yourself, Thiessen. I'm working out every day. I'm coming into it. I'm working out every day, and I'm going to call you, right, at the turn of the century.
Right,
I'll call you and say you were right.
I'll see you at the turn of the century celebrations in 2100. We'll party together.
I want to get back to the whole thing. You're right. This whole, the 87,000 tax agents. The Washington Post fact checker, right? Your paper's fact checker, Glenn Kessler, wrote the following here, quoting, "The GOP is preying on people's fears of an audit," right? And then the response came in, and one of them was from the managing editor of Red State, which is a conservative publication, Brandon Morris. He wrote, quoting here, "Yeah, they're just hiring 87,000 IRS agents, most of them tasked with enforcement to go after the 700 billionaires in the nation," which is a pretty good response because, I mean, really, 87,000 and people think they're not going to target people who make under $400,000? Come on.
No doubt. And look, just to put perspective of 87,000 people, the largest football stadium in the NFL is MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. It holds 82,500 people. So you could not fit all the new IRS agents in the largest NFL stadium in the country. Another way to put it in perspective, this army of tax collectors will be larger than the actual armies of 25 of our 29 NATO allies. Okay, it will be 8 times the size of the Border Patrol, which has only 19,000 agents dealing with the worst border disaster in American history. So, yeah, these people aren't going to be sitting around, twiddling their thumbs. They're going to be going after people, and they're going to be going. There are not enough millionaires and not enough corporations to occupy the time of 87,000 people.
Yeah, it's going to be the lower class people. That's for sure, the lower income people. Republicans, by the way, Mark, have some ground to make up in a couple of key Senate races that could determine control of the Senate. New Fox polling shows Arizona Democrat Mark Kelly with an 8-point lead over GOP challenger Blake Masters. Kelly also among those Democrats who will not commit to backing a Biden 2024 bid. In another pivotal Senate race, Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson trails Democrat Mandela Barnes by 4 points, which it's just outside the margin of error, but pretty much a statistical dead heat. But there is also an enthusiasm gap that could boost Johnson's chances. 66% of his supporters say they're excited to vote compared to 57% for those backing Barnes. What do you make of that, Mark, the enthusiastic factor? Is it real? Is it something you think is going to play a part in the midterms?
Yeah, so I mean, think about this. 6 years ago, when Ron Johnson Hugh Hewitt was on with me on Special Report last night, and he pointed out that in his last election, Ron Johnson was behind in the polls by 3 points right on election day, and he won by 3.5. So, you know, these polls have gotten a lot of stuff wrong, but they're what we have to go on, and it's troubling. I mean, if you look at the 538 average of some of these key races in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz is losing by 11 points. In Arizona, Masters is losing by 10. In Georgia, Herschel Walker's losing by 3. That's within the margin of error, but that's tight. In Ohio, J.D. Vance is losing by 1.2. Again, that's statistical tie. But Rob Portman won that seat 6 years ago by 20 points. So, you know, Joe Biden is the least popular president in the history of presidential polling. We have the worst inflation in 40 years, the highest gas prices on record, the worst crime wave since the 1990s, the worst border crisis in American history. This should be a red wave of unprecedented historic proportions. Republicans should be sweeping the Democrats out of the House and Senate. And the fact that it's tight is really a testament to the fact that even though people don't like Joe Biden, they're not so thrilled with the GOP, and they're not embracing us. So I hope the red wave comes, but it's not guaranteed. And Republicans, if it doesn't, Republicans need to take a hard look in the mirror.
Yeah, and Democrats are clearly looking at the president, and some of them are running away. In fact, the list gets longer and longer. Here is Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. Watch.
Ms. Masto, Senator Masto, will you campaign with Biden this fall?
Excuse me, can you,
will you campaign with
ma'am,
Biden this fall, Senator Masto? Will you please answer for your constituents?
I mean, last answer, Mark, but literally, and there's the list. It's getting longer and longer. I don't have an exact count, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, looks like 16 to me. They're literally running away from the president as it gets closer to the election. Your last thoughts?
Yeah, that's not surprising. Joe Biden, as I said, is the least popular president in the history of polling. So they wouldn't want to run him. What they want to do is they want to change the topic, like they did in the 2020 election. They want to change the topic to Trump. They want to make the election about Donald Trump. And this Mar-a-Lago raid, it certainly energizes conservatives around the president, but it also energizes the president's opponents. And it reminds people what they didn't like about the Trump years, which was the chaos, which what Biden promised to get rid of, the chaos, the controversy, and all the rest of it. So, you know, that's hurting Republicans and is a drag going into the election.
Yeah, and I gotta go, but I'm curious, Mark. I mean, you seem to think that now all of a sudden, you know, the pendulum is swinging back because there's been a lot of red wave talk, and it seems like people are fairly confident that the GOP will take the House, not nearly as confident with them taking the Senate. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment, though it should be a historic way. I mean, you know, in 2010, we took 60 seats. Democrats lost 60 seats when you had, and Obama wasn't nearly as unpopular as Joe Biden. So yes, and the truth is that all Republicans need is to take one House in order to stop the reconciliation bills and to stop another Inflation Reduction Act fiasco. But it would be good to have the Senate as well and the presidency in 2 years after that.
Marc Thiessen, always great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meantime, there are more. See you in 2100.